Welcome to Turtles Rising, the podcast where we're very excited about turtles. I'm Em.
I'm Nati.
Today we're talking about episode 2 from season 1, from the production lineup, not the way that it was aired
Yeah,
on
because
Nick. That was a mess.
because I wasn't even aware of that since we started watching Rise of the TMNT in February 2019. And the show has been airing since September 25th, 2018. Or no, excuse me. The production is in a completely different order than the order that the episodes aired in. I messed up the date because of that. It was even earlier than that. Apparently, September 17th is when the show started airing. But episode 2A aired September 25th and 2B September 17th, together with War and Pizza, which is listed at 3A. So, we are going to review these episodes in the production order, not the air date order.
So in the order that they were made instead of the order they were aired, because I personally think that it makes more sense that we listen to what the creators originally intended it to be, like the viewing experience the creators intended most likely when
Yes.
they made this.
Yes.
Not that I do think that most of these episodes are interchangeable, and you can watch them in basically any order. But I think that it's better to watch them since we have so many different orders of episodes being aired. We're just gonna stick with the production one because that's just the easiest for us personally.
These episodes are, of course, especially the early episodes, are all made in a way that you can change them around. There isn't a red thread going through them that would get messed up by changing them and airing them out of order. But you still notice some details. We got confused about some things. We will get to that as soon as we are in the respective episodes. But yeah, there are some details, story and world building wise, that get messed up if you mess up the order.
So we're gonna stick with the production episode. And
Today we have the episodes Origami Tsunami and later
Origami
on
Tsunami.
Donnie's Gift.
Donnie's gift.
Yeah, we just watched it right before we started recording the podcast, and it's insane to go from the later episodes to the early ones because there's just so much difference in the animation quality and the details of the animation. You clearly notice in the earlier episodes that the animation focus is mostly on the fighting scene.
Yeah. What I think with the Origami Tsunami that really hit me, because of course we say that we just watched it before we started. This is still an episode that we have watched at least 6-7 times. I have seen these first episodes and really the first half of season 1 and most of season 1 so many times at this point. I have been rewatching it. And when I was watching this, it really just hit me that you can really see that it's rougher at the start. Now, because it's still really good and I do like it, and it is really like lovely and like fluid and fun, but compared to what it has become now, like later on in season 1, it feels so much heavier. Even though back when I remember watching it for the first time, I was like, oh wow, this is some of the snappiest and like fastest animation that I've seen for a really long time. And now I just think, hey, if back in like 2019 on my birthday last year would have been able to see season 2 episodes for the first time, she would have been mind blown because
Yes.
the difference is so there's so much difference.
Also, a little disclaimer here that we give in these episodes that we are rewatching. This podcast is not spoiler free. We will go into details of later episodes. We will compare things if we see anything that was foreshadowed and that reappears in later episodes. We will call it out. So if you watch this podcast and think, oh yeah, they're just talking about this episode in particular, since we are rewatching and reliving this entire show during this hiatus, this is not spoiler free. So if you are scared of spoilers, this is your warning to just drop out right here now.
Yeah, we are currently on hiatus still. Week 2. I'm
Yes,
starting to get thirsty. It's
same.
fine. The hunger pangs have started to set in, but I'll live with it. Christmas will tide me over and distract me from lack of turtles, I suppose. But yeah,
So
the episode, like I remember Origami Tsunami as like one of those episodes that really that was super heavily character centric, and I loved that. And it still is. It's just there's more character in the series now than in the Origami Tsunami episode, but you can still see they know what they're doing. They definitely know what they're doing with all these characters.
I think it's important that, and that is what makes it so weird that this episode did not air as the second episode originally, is that in Origami Tsunami, they, for the first time, say, ah, yes, we want to be heroes, like Luchitsu, we can't be heroes. And Splinter is just like, nah, you're not ready.
Yeah, that's all. We start this episode with Raph, Mikey, and Donnie reliving basically a Lujitsu movie where they're doing it, and like they have these noodle bowls set up and they're doing a thing called like what teriyaki shakedown, which is a scene which fits completely into the theory that I had last episode discussion that they have action hero tendencies and they relive movies scene by scene to get rid of them
Yes.
because it's just in their DNA. They're doing this as an outlet for their hero needs, basically. And I do like how now that I look back on it and I know that Jitsu also spoilers, you guys, last chance to back out before I drop a giant spoiler bomb. Now that we know that Jitsu is their dad, and seeing Raph next to him, side by side, them saying the same things and doing the same movements, it gives me emos.
Yeah, it's adorable. And I just love that they, how many times must they have watched all of these movies if they can speak along with it and then even do the motions that Luchitsu perfectly in sync with him. It's cute.
Also, I was thinking at the beginning of like, when I saw this episode first, I was like, ah, yeah, they've seen this movie so many times that they can recite it. But now that I think about it, this is probably their training. This is the
Yeah.
only training Splinter has really given them because now that we know what we know, there's no way Splinter would just allow them to stand in front of the TV while he's trying to watch a movie and slam each other into noodle bowls and
Yes.
then say, "Why are you insulting the master? That egotistical bastard. He's referring to himself."
Yeah.
But by doing such a bad job, and then he jumps out and does the thing better, like more powerfully than Raph does, and then basically walks away.
Yeah.
And now that we know what we know, this is probably a thing that they do regularly, like daily. This is their routine, and that's why there are noodle bowls. I just like to imagine them setting up for this. Okay, it's training time. All right, I'll get the noodles ready. And then Mikey goes to the kitchen, makes some ramen, and Donnie stacks bricks to put the noodle bowls on. And it's like, can't wait for the teriyaki shakedown. It gets me so jazzed.
I mean, this is kind of proven by a later episode. Which one is it with the fish and ladders? I forgot the title for a second.
It's the evil League of Mutants.
Yeah, Evil League of Mutants is when they're just like, ah, yes, we want to have training. They're standing in the line, ready for training, and everything Splinter does is putting in another video. That's been their training
Yeah.
so far, and they at this point they're not taking this serious anymore.
Yeah, also because he says in that episode, The Evil League of Mutants, he says you're back for more training. So
Yes.
so apparently after this episode when they decided to be heroes, they stopped doing this. Because he speaks about it as if it's been such a long time since they did any training last. But what he's thinking about, because he doesn't know that they go around fighting mutants. They specifically lie about it at one point when they meet him in the stairs and he's like asking, "Oh, what are you doing?" And there's like, "Nothing. What are you doing?" "Nothing." And they're both going out to basically fight crime.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really know about this whole thing, or at least is not aware of how much of it they're doing. Also, in a future episode, he is confused when they are fighting the Foot Clan and like going after Mystic Metal because he didn't know that they were doing that. So this honestly is their training and the thing that he was referring to in Evil League of Mutants, which is recreating these videotapes. But yeah, then they go over and there's yes, let's be heroes, and Donnie wants to get the juices flowing, which is the crime solving juices flowing.
Mm,
That's just the good stuff. So they go and we talk about the breaking bandit, which has been dropped like at least twice in the series,
yeah.
and I'm getting suspicious. I want to see the spine breaking bandit.
Yeah,
Like, who is
same.
it? I thought it was Todd for the longest time, but now that we know that Todd's a Super Saiyan, it can't be him.
Super scientist.
Yes, he's a Super Saiyan Disney princess. Also, so he can't possibly be a serial killer. Also, Long Island Mangler still at large. Maybe you guys should stop that. That looks painful.
Yeah, please.
Yes, that has to be someone big that can like fold people up like that. Like that's rough.
Who does
And then
that?
paper thieves on the loose. And then they're just stealing paper. And they decide that well, Leo has an entire heroic speech, which is his first heroic speech really, where he manages to manipulate his brothers into doing what he wants. Like they want to go after the serial killers, like the Long Island Manglers and the spine breaking bandit. But he's just like, yeah, no, that's dangerous and I don't want to do that. But paper thieves, though. And then he has an entire heroic speech about how helping papermen is the like heroic thing to do, and they all cheer for him. So he manages to manipulate them into doing what he wants
Yeah, that's true.
instead of what which is cute, and it really does set him up as the smooth manipulative talker. And this episode is also the one that introduces the Foot Clan for the first time, and I love Foot Lieutenant and Foot Brute. I love them. They are so great. They're so
I love their designs.
yeah. The I love that the Foot Clan is brought in this early, and I really would love to be as excited about paper as New York City is apparently, because they have a giant neon sign that says paper. And I have never seen a store that is completely dedicated to paper. But I guess that's just because I live in Iceland and we're not psyched about paper all the time.
I think the closest that we have to paper stores would be copy shops, where you go and for printing out your documents or get your posters printed or something like that, because obviously these stores need a lot of paper. But we don't have
Yeah,
specific paper stores. I mean, we had one in the past here in my city, but it ran out of business, sadly. Maybe the Foot Clan stole everything.
yeah, that's my headcanon.
Yeah.
The Foot Clan went to Germany to steal all your paper.
Yes.
And they're
So
just there stealing all this paper and putting it in a van. They don't even have a proper Foot Clan at this point. They have no assistants. It's just the two of them and their origami soldiers.
the voice actors, Foot Lieutenant, who is the skinny one on the left, he is voiced by Rob Paulson, who also has in the past voiced as Yakko from the Animaniacs, and apparently also voiced Donnie in the 2012 iteration, as far as I know. And Foot Brute, the one on the right, the big one, is voiced by Maurice LaMarche. Yeah, apparently
They're,
has voiced Egan Spangler in The Real Ghostbusters and was the brain in Animaniacs and in Pinky and the
good.
Brain.
Honestly, I think that their voices are super distinct, and the voices they're doing are really different. They don't sound like any other like voiced actor. Like I can imagine that doing this kind of voice as a voice actor is really difficult and takes a lot of skill and training.
Yeah,
But it also fits them perfectly because they have such outlandish and different designs. So them having bizarre voices matches their design so well. Because if they just had normal dude voices, you'd be like, wait, that doesn't fit. So they need to have like slightly distinct voices, different voices.
I
And I enjoy that.
would love to have been there when they were like, ah, yes, Foot Lieutenant needs to sound like, you know,
Like this!
exactly.
Sounds like he is suffering so much. Wow, that's inspired. Like he sounds in pain.
Yeah,
And I just kind of want to give him a throat lozenge and like something warm to drink because he sounds like he is getting out of a massive cold all the time.
yep.
Which Makes sense if you consider the fact that he's got his nipples out 24/7.
Yeah, I mean,
So
fair.
maybe he just has a cold all the time.
Unless they're, as we see later in their stores, because then they're wearing cute outfits.
Yeah, that's true. When they're pretending to own a shoe store,
Yes.
which is still the best cover story for the Foot Clan. There is no better. They should just always have shoe stores. They should
Yeah.
retire from the Foot Clan and just open a shoe store. It looked like it was doing well business wise. And then we have the boys being cool, and then they're not being cool. They try their best. This is their first hero mission. We should cut them some slack.
I also noticed only now that I am aware that the Foot Clan, they can do these portals.
Mhm.
And I only noticed now that they escaped from the boys chasing them using the portals, and then they drove off with their van to get the
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, when I watched this yesterday for the screenshots, I also noticed like, oh, how did they get away? You see a flash, and you don't really know what it is and why Mikey runs into Donnie and Leo, and the Foot Soldiers, Foot Clan is just gone. But that is definitely because they portaled away, and that's fun. Like that's something you don't really know until later because they don't portal in this episode visibly. I mean, they definitely portaled to get away at the end, but we don't see it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because the boys were distracted. And oh, here on this frame, once again, shout out to the background artist. They didn't have to make this moon this beautiful and detailed, but they still did.
Yeah, and they didn't need to give one window a curtain or make it broken or darker, but they did just to break it up. Maybe the window's open. Someone's enjoying a nice wind as the paper store next street is being robbed.
Yes, so even though the animation in the earlier episodes is not the same top quality as in the later episodes, the art is just beautiful.
Yeah, the art is good. Some backgrounds are better now than they were at the beginning,
Yes.
but they're still good, and they set the mood.
Amazing.
And then Leo has an entire speech where, again, he manipulates his brothers into trying again, where he asks Mikey where his optimism is and where Raph's go-getter attitude is. Like at this point, this is their first mission, and they failed at catching paper thieves, which is really demoralizing for these poor boys. Their first ever attempt at being heroes, and they got schooled by paper thieves. And then Leo asks Donnie where his what was it, emotionless passion is, and Donnie's like, here. And that is one of my favorite jokes from this episode. It is very good.
I noticed, especially in this episode, that Josh Brenner's delivery is excellent.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
He's just amazing. I love the way how he voices Donnie, and just by the way how he just like says, here. With this lack of energy, it's
It's
great.
like it also has like a little sigh to his like here.
Yeah.
Just like he does it on the exhale. He's not actually saying the word. Like his emotionless passion is so passionless that he's not even making the noise properly. He's exhaling it, which is very cute.
But yeah, Leo is being manipulative, encouraging, maybe
He's
a bit of both.
He's also like being a hype man for his brothers. He's hyping them up. And I love this picture. I took this screenshot because it's only on the screen for a second and you don't really get to appreciate it. But look at Raph having a giant baloney.
Yeah.
Where did they get that baloney? Where do you get a supersized Raph-sized baloney?
I love that Mikey is holding the sausages like little ninja stars. I love the tape that they have rolled up their arms. Paper's not down.
Yes, here they are cutting down finely sliced bologna paper, and that bologna is so long and just goes on forever. And there's so much. Oh, the smell must be awful.
Why did they get a huge like thing, but still made the paper bologna?
Yeah. Also, they specifically wrote on a piece of paper, "Buy paper here."
Yeah.
So, also I love Leo's paper hut. It's very cute and they did their best. It looks cool and very cardboardy. Like the windows are cut out. It's cute. And then
Yes.
he's like, yeah, do you think this will work? The only paper we have is made from bologna, which is round. Paper is not round. As
Again,
if the fact that their paper is round is the only problem they have with having bologna paper. But also, Raph is holding that baloney. I have a feeling that this baloney belongs to Raph, and he's not really psyched about sharing it and putting it on the fence for this. I don't think Raph is willing to bet all of his fancy baloney on this job.
also,
Also, Donnie is filling in some sort of paper as if he is doing inventory checks on the baloney.
yeah.
And Leo looks like he's writing on the baloney with a pen, and that distresses me. Don't do that. That's gross.
Yeah, this is when April comes in because she is, of course, looking for another job.
Yeah,
And
I'm terrified that she's totally okay with having a job interview at midnight
yeah,
in an alley at a
yeah,
place called Leo's Paper Hut. Was she not suspicious at all? She's like, "Oh yeah, I knew it was weird that the interview was at midnight." Yeah, but did the fact that there was a Leo's Paper Hut situated in an alleyway not the thing that tipped you off that this might be turtles? Also, she looks at the wanted ads. Does that mean that the boys put in a wanted ad into a paper the same night that they made Leo's Paper Hut for anyone to look at? What if someone else had been stupid enough to show up into an alley at midnight for a job interview?
and
I'm concerned.
there's the logic thing here that doesn't really match up, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah, I know it's a cartoon. I'm in universe terrified for April. Don't
Yes.
ever go into an alleyways to meet strangers at midnight, sweetheart. You're 16.
Yeah, seriously.
And here's a still. It's a good still. They
It's
all have
amazing.
kissy faces. It's cute.
I'm very concerned for Leo because he has Rav's spike elbow right on his neck.
Yeah, that's probably why Leo isn't moving at all. They're all
Yeah.
jammed into this cardboard box that's way too small for them. And I know that's the joke, but I'm still just concerned. Also, Raph is just holding onto Donnie. It looks like he is like draped over Donnie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh no, that's cute and also looks horrifyingly painful.
Yeah. And then
Mikey looks fine.
yeah, I mean
And then
Mikey.
they're in the security box, and the security box isn't even the size of Raph. Then Donnie put a tracker in the bologna paper, which is funny. It's like, Leo, did you really think I'd let you make bologna paper without putting a tracker in it? And then Raph's stomach beeps, and he's like, it's okay, I put two. He is the smartest boy, and he knows his brothers really well.
Also,
And I
Raph is
enjoy that.
is a big boy and he's a teenager. He's still growing. He needs to eat a lot.
So he eats stacks of bologna paper.
He eats everything apparently.
And the tracker that Donnie put in it. He just
He
ate that.
didn't
He
notice
probably
that.
didn't even chew it. So he probably just inhaled that bologna,
Yeah.
and then it peeps inside of him. And Donnie's like, "It's okay, I put two." Donnie will get that tracker back in approximately 24 to 48 hours,
Yep.
depending on how fast Raph's whole body processes kilograms upon kilograms of bologna.
Yeah, what
And
I also
here's
think is pretty interesting about this episode is that Leo is kind of taking the leader role in this episode.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, he's definitely trying to be leader in this episode.
yeah, he also does a lot of the planning and he gives a lot of directions in this episode, which I think is interesting because he's not officially the leader in this iteration. It's Raph.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there was no real leader in the first episode. It was just Raph was the oldest, so he was, kind of in charge because he was the oldest. And maybe it's because Leo, he didn't fail, but he didn't really, I mean, he got captured and his brothers had to save him, and Raph kind of saved all of them by the end of this episode. Maybe
Mhm.
that's why Raph gets to be leader,
Yeah.
because their first hero job, like, they did their best. Leo did a good job as leader, but kind of got his ass kicked and he was like caught. And then his brothers tried to save him and also got caught. And then at the end of the episode, Raph kind of comes through and he says, Hero Town, population, me. And he saves his brothers from the monster. Maybe that's why they just kind of accepted that Raph is leader now, because he saved their asses during their first hero mission.
Yeah, that's a theory for it, definitely. But yeah, a lot of people that watch the older iterations are actually, or were, I don't know, maybe some updated their opinion, say that they're upset about the fact that in this iteration, Leo does not start out as the leader. And this is why they don't like this iteration or something. But
It's just a silly reason.
yeah, this aside, this show is called The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they specifically chose to make things and do things differently. Just because Leo isn't the leader now doesn't mean he will never be the leader.
I mean, I personally think that making Leo not the leader at the start and making him kind of grow into the role and earn his brother's trust and respect is very important and integral to his character, because giving him this motivation that he wants to be the champion and that he wants to be the leader is like, it gives him room to grow as a character. He doesn't just stand there as the leader and just has to stand under the burden of being a leader. He isn't trying to just withstand the whole, like, it doesn't give him a chance to grow as much as if they don't start with him as leaders. Because yeah, Raph is the leader. He does save their asses. He is the oldest, but I don't think Raph is emotionally attached to the position of leader. I think he's just doing it because his brothers trust him. They do as he says because he's the oldest. And also, Raph is the most dependable, and I think that Raph is really the most mature out of all of them, and that's why he gets to be leader. It's a theory, at least that I have, that Raph is just better suited at this point in time until Leo grows up into the leader role.
Yeah, I agree with that. In a couple of moments throughout the show, we definitely noticed that Raph is the most mature out of all of them. In
Yeah.
certain situations where the others are just complete doofuses.
Yeah. I mean, he also always has his eyes on the prize, and he's looking out for his brothers more. Like, they all look out for each other, but Raph is constantly putting his brother's safety in the forefront of most of the things that he does. Like, he's willing to jump off a building for Leo, for example, that
Yeah.
we see in Bugbusters. And he's always the one that rushes to help Donnie when Donnie's in danger. And he is overprotective of Mikey to a fault. Like, he loves his brothers and he just wants to keep them safe, but he also wants to be a cool hero. So he is the leader because he's probably the one that does most of the saving, and like Mikey and Donnie trust Raph to be in charge because they know that he will have their back if shit goes south.
Yeah. And with Leo not having to be the leader, he can also just be a dorky teenager in this iteration. And he's a huge dork.
He is. He is a massive dork, and I love him. It's great. I like all of them, and I like their dynamic. And you can kind of see that in the show as it progresses, that Leo is definitely earning Raph's trust. Like, slowly Leo is earning Raph's trust. And like Donnie and Mikey, they do love Leo, but I don't think that they trust him 100%.
Yeah.
And slowly, I think Leo is going to have to earn all of their trust. And it's going to be a bit of a growing up moment when they all agree that Leo should be leader, because they really need to consent to Leo being the leader of the group, and all just kind of decide to let him do most of the talking and the frontman work. And they are already starting to do that on the show. So I think that this growth that Leo is having is really good for his character, and it makes him more sympathetic, and you root for him to like, making him struggle to become the leader of the group makes you want to root for him more. It makes you want him to succeed, like for his plans to work. It makes you care more about his brothers doing. It makes it more emotional when he is the leader, asks his brothers to do something and trust him because he has a plan and utilizes all of his brother's strengths, and they do what he says without arguing or questioning. It's just going to make that moment all the more emotional and like just more fulfilling, because you know that this is what Leo wants and he is good at it. He's just also an asshole. So it's really hard to just kind of want him to be in charge, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, it's just way more interesting to have one of them, of course in this case hopefully Leo, because I can't see Mikey or Donnie in a leader role. Even though I still
Yeah,
would love to see an episode, as you mentioned to me once, where they try to figure out who's best in the leader role. But
yeah, an
yeah,
episode where they all try being a leader and they all go with like their own style and how it fails and how it succeeds. And then at the end, they decide, hey, if Leo gets to be in charge, then all of our strengths are utilized well. Like
yeah,
he can make a plan that involves all of us instead of Raph's leader as it is now. He's a lot of like rushing in, screaming. Mikey, I don't want to see what kind of leader Mikey would make. He'd probably make a great pumped leader. And Donnie would probably, we've seen Donnie being in charge of missions,
I mean,
like
we
in
also
the,
kind of saw Mikey being a leader in Mystic Library.
yeah, he was a leader in that one for approximately 25 seconds.
But we
And
saw it.
yeah, and then like Donnie was in charge in Mind Meld, and that went really well. Like the plan went really well when his brothers did exactly what he said, which is never going to happen. What he expects from them is for them to take things seriously, and they're never going to do that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't factor in basically their stupidity. He doesn't factor in the fact that they want to take photos of a pigeon. So it's not a part of his plan. Leo would think, oh yeah, then Donnie can do some sort of brain thing and Mikey can do a flip. Like that's cool. Like Donnie's plans are too good. They don't allow for his brothers being themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, as much fun as it would be to have Donnie be in charge, it would also be terrifying because then his brothers would actually have to do what they're told, and that's never gonna happen.
Yeah. So let's get back to this episode. And there isn't really a lot of other stuff that happens because they then get into a fight with the Foot Clan. And I love the animation of the big monster in this episode, the big paper Foot Clan soldier.
Yeah, the giant origami one. I like that in this iteration, the disposable foot soldiers are paper because the disposable foot soldiers in the 87 version were robots.
Yes.
Because they can be cool and slice and dice and do all sorts of horrifying violence to the paper foot soldiers without it being gory and gross, even though they do say, oh, it's just confetti. Paper viscera, says Donnie.
Yeah.
Paper viscera. That is a good word. I'm never going to call confetti again. It's an outdated word. I'm never using it again. I'm gonna call confetti paper viscera from now on.
Yes, same. And yeah, they're pretty good until the moment the big monster appears, which is something they probably didn't expect, and it threw them off. And Leo, in this moment, when this monster reached out and grabbed him, he didn't move.
Yeah, like they were all frozen. They were shocked. There was a moment where you can see all of their faces, like it does a split screen. You can see all of their faces, and they're like, "What?"
Yes.
Like they were amazed at the origami soldiers. They had never seen anything like that. When he sliced him up, and he exploded into red bits. They thought it was just blood and guts, and they freaked out. And then they realized, oh, it's just paper. And then they started fighting that. And they would say, oh, okay, like we can fight these paper soldiers. Then there's a giant monster. And this is their first hero job. They have never seen anything like this before. So, of course, they're shocked. Like, Leo doesn't move. Leo isn't using his portals at all in this episode. Mikey barely uses his fire thingy and only when it's convenient because he could have set this guy on fire.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Also, then they probably would have had to fight him on fire, which would have been a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they all do freeze up and they're just confused, like seeing this. Like they don't know how to act, which I mean, same. I would also be confused and not know what to do if there was a giant paper monster after me.
Yeah, Leo just gets caught, and then Donnie and Mikey want to help him. But in the end, as you already said, Raph is the one that actually manages to kick ass because he was just trying to help his brothers and then figured out something cool with his tonfa, which was something that he couldn't do in Mystic Mayhem. He couldn't quite figure out how his tonfa worked.
Yeah, like in Mystic Mayhem, we see Donnie being cool. We see what Mikey's whole thing can do, and we see we see what his weapon can do. We see what Leo's weapon can do. And neither of them has control over it. But we don't really see what Raph's weapon does in Mystic Mayhem because it just kind of sparks red. and then slams him into a wall. So here we see like properly what Raph's deal and power is. And it's a very cool reveal. And Raph always seems to tap into his power very easily when it has something to do with saving his brothers. Like he really is just powered by love.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me all sob.
Love is stored in the Raph.
Yeah.
Stored in the spikes. He is spiky with love.
I love the scene where the paper just starts bursting out of the huge ship.
And it makes a dude. I love. What were they doing? Was this their base? Where were they taking all this paper? Why were they putting it in this boat? Where were they gonna sail away with this boat?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, is this where their hideout was, or were they gonna move this paper to a different country? Like, why was it? Because they could have, at any point in this episode, just kept all the paper inside and made it like a factory and turned it all into goop inside. But they specifically put it on a boat for some reason.
Is this the same thing that Mikey ends up eating in the season 1 finale?
Yeah, I'm curious about that, because if that, then that is a really vague foreshadowing.
That's
like
true.
very, very vague.
Yeah, but it's probably not. It's just very interesting to consider that later on Mikey actually eats a ship like that, and currently they're not even capable of winning a fight against a huge paper monster.
Yeah, it's character growth.
Yes.
Very cute.
Also,
But here we
this
see
face is
a
hilarious.
rare screenshot of Foot Brute's eyes. Beautiful eyes. He has pupils for some reason. Foot Lieutenant doesn't have pupils.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is the only time we've ever seen Foot Brute's eyes, as far as I remember. And it's just for a single frame. And he makes a nice little crane, and I like it.
But yeah, the end joke is that they make a foot soldier out of bologna.
No, it's like, what? It was salami origami does not work, says Donnie. And then Raph eats it.
Which is still kind of gross. 5-second rule? 5-second rule is the thing, Raph.
5-second rule is also not a thing if someone grabbed the bologna and touched it a lot to fold it into a shape.
Yes.
And then Leo tells them that, hey, yeah, they did kind of do it. They didn't technically win, but Leo manages to talk them into seeing it as a win.
Yeah.
Because the bad guys did get away, and they didn't really stop them doing anything, because they do show up later. And like they did manage to stop them getting all the paper. But they do have origami soldiers later on, so they only gave them a little bit of a setback.
Yeah, also something that I completely forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode. This episode was written by Russ Carney and Ron Cosillo. Excuse me once again for possibly mispronouncing any of the names. Directed by Jamie Vickers and storyboarded by Christopher Luke. Excuse me if I mispronounce anything. And yeah, that was episode 2A.
Yeah, their first ever little hero adventure.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them. I'm pretty sure that if they had gone after the Long Island Mangler or the Spine-Breaking Bandit, they probably would have done better, because they wouldn't have been against superhuman powers, magic, mystic, origami people.
What you mean is they wouldn't have immediately faced their mortal enemies by blood.
Yes. They accidentally met their whole blood feud enemies.
Yes.
Maybe that's what they were just meant for. They're just stupidly drawn to the Foot Clan, just like the Foot Clan's probably drawn to their paper hut.
Probably.
Also, the Foot Clan is so greedy. Leo's paper hut was a tiny corner store that had like 5 stacks of salami paper. They have an entire ship full of paper, but no, they wanted all of the paper. Must rob the tiny corner store as well. And here you go. To be Donnie's gifts.
A wonderful episode that is very strong in character interaction.
Yeah, it also introduces both the Silverfish mutant and Meat Sweats. And I like Meat Sweats a lot. He's a great character.
Meat Sweats is great.
Yeah, so both of them, so introducing both the Silverfish and Meat Sweats, but keeping the main focus on the characters, their strengths, and their interactions is really clever. And the way that it's written, it flows so well that it's very good.
Speaking of written, Donnie's Gifts is written by, once again, Russ Carney and Ron Cosillo, directed by Sebastian Montes, and storyboarded by Jessica Sammet. And yeah, I love how we just see these mutant silverfish. And at this point, we know that there are the mosquitoes, and we know of silverfish. So we just assumed that a mosquito pushed all of the ooze into a silverfish. Where did they come from?
They're not human silverfish hybrids. They're their own thing. I don't think that the ooze made the silverfish at all. I'm pretty sure the silverfish are yokai or something else.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, we do see them on posters later.
Yeah, that is for later. I love how they just are absolutely big dum-dums at the beginning, and Donnie's so tired.
Yeah, they are being actual idiots in the beginning of this episode. I mean, Donnie's just like, hey, Raph, every time you hit them, they split in two. And then Donnie just hovers there and allows his brothers to fuck up.
And they do fuck up a lot.
Oh, yeah, they do. They mess up so bad. Like, Raph gets attacked by the silverfish, and then Mikey shows up to help Raph. Poor Mikey. And poor Mikey tries his best, but he does not succeed. Falls into a dumpster with the silverfish, and then they attack him. And they're just, like, biting on his knee pads and, like, hitting him with their little arms.
They're very violent.
I don't think that it hurts a lot. And then Donnie, I managed to catch this frame of Donnie being absolutely not impressed with his brothers at all. And then then Leo shows up to save the day. And as usual, Leo does do a good job until he starts talking. That's kind of the thing. Like, Leo does a great job until he starts talking instead of focusing and taking. He doesn't take it seriously at all.
Yeah, no.
He's like, he is just joking and everything. And yeah, we know that it's his coping mechanism and everything, but this is not his coping mechanism. He is not freaked out really here. He's just making jokes. And I want to know what the second joke was going to be, because he says that something about these bugs being really wet. And now I just want to know the end of that joke. It's going to haunt me. And then we have the brothers just being attacked by silverfish. I like to imagine that the reason Donnie's hovering is because the silverfish can't really jump onto him. And then he makes his staff into a tennis ball gun. And mounted it. Like, he becomes a turret. It's great.
How? Where does it take the tennis balls from?
They were probably in the staff. Now we know what his staff really looks like. It's just full of tennis balls.
Yes.
And then we have the introduction of the best character in the entire show, the drill.
It's in beta.
Yeah, it's still in beta. Imagine how powerful it will be when it's out of beta. They love the drill so much, and I love that they're all just very happy and impressed about the drill. It's just a drill. Donnie's made things like he had a tennis ball gun in his staff, and it's like, no, that should totally be it. That should be what you're showing us, your super cool invention. And Donnie's like, nah, it's in beta. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I love how Mikey's just like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and then he hugs it. It's cute that Mike just hugs it. He should hug all of Donnie's inventions, honestly. I wonder how many hugs Sheldon has gotten.
Sheldon should get all the hugs.
Also, Donnie tells them that he made gifts that were so thoughtful, and if they didn't like them, he'd just be crushed. And it's so dramatic. And then I got these rare footage of Mikey being absolutely adorable. It's very important.
I love his little face here. I know.
Yeah, he still has a squished like face. Like, he's still in hugging mode. He has just been thrown off.
I mean, during this episode, we kind of get to figure out and get to see what their flaws are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is kind of what Donnie's doing.
Yeah. He tries to iron out their flaws by making them better. The first time that he does it.
The first of the line of episodes that I like to call the Donnie fixing people episodes.
Yes.
So that there will be more than one. And this is... then Donnie gives them, like, Mikey gets a suit, Leo gets a collar, and Raph gets a helmet, and it's all super cute. And I actually really like all of them. Like, Mikey's suit is a little bit too much, but I really do like Leo's collar and Raph's helmet. It looks good on them. I like it.
Yeah, it does. I like the pose that they're striking.
Yeah, and like Donnie definitely thinks that they look cool. He's excited about it. He's super happy that they like it too, and he's about to tell them like how they work. And I would like to hear his explanation, considering what we know that these things do. I'd love to know his explanation for what he just put them into, but we don't get to see that because
Yeah.
they're called off by Meat Sweats to Chateau Pretentieux. But then Raph just coins the term Meat Sweats. And I'm just like, oh, so Raph just decided in this episode that he's called Meat Sweats and everyone loves, except Donnie. Donnie does not think this is funny at all.
Yeah,
Never
Don-
seen Meat Sweats. Meat Sweats is so good at getting a nice kitchen setup wherever he goes.
yeah, that's true.
He has a passion. You can't really fault him for that. He just really likes cooking a lot.
And just as like you said to me while we were watching the episode, Meatsvets is really just minding his own business.
Yeah, at this point, he's trying to eat the silverfish, but he's not eating the silverfish, considering the silverfish gets away. He's not boiling it alive to the point that it dies. And at this point, Mitsas really is just minding his own business. He's just an ousted mutant that's hunting for something to cook. And he just happens to like to eat their power. And then Mikey is cooking in this disgusting looking kitchen.
Oh yeah,
It is worse than my kitchen.
Far worse than mine.
He's watching it on a tablet. And they have a little neon sign with pizza on it. And Mikey's watching cooking shows on his tablet, probably on the internet. And he's just hanging out and minding his own business. And he's basically watching Hell's Kitchen, except it's called Condescending Kitchen.
I mean, Meatsvets clearly is a Gordon Ramsay reference.
Yes. I wonder how Gordon Ramsay feels about that. I hope that he enjoys it. But yeah, he's a fun character. I really like Meat Sweats. I like his design and his voice.
His voice. He is voiced by John Joseph Lydon, who apparently is also known by his stage name Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten?
Mm-hmm. And he's an English singer, songwriter, musician, best known as the lead singer of the late 1970s British punk band The Sex Pistols.
Oh, shit. Why hasn't Meat Sweats sung a little bit in the show? I can't wait for his solo episode where he does a lot of proper singing.
His punk band solo.
He should start a punk band called The Pigs.
Yes.
It'll be awesome. But yeah, this is a very like nice, like it really gives you exactly what you want from this character. But really, at this point, he isn't doing anything really bad.
Yeah, he's just trying out his new mutant powers, which is absorbing the powers of other mutants and yokai.
I mean, the worst thing he does is really trying to eat Donnie later in this episode. When Raph messes up and he hit Meat Sweats, and we basically are introduced to Meat Sweats having absorbed the silverfish's power, which Donnie literally says while looking at the camera to make sure that we definitely understand what's going on. Not all mutants have this power. He has absorbed the other mutant's ability. He says, looking into the camera specifically to explain it to us so we don't assume that all mutants can split into tiny little pieces.
Thank you, Donnie.
Donnie's such a good boy. And then he gets caught. His brothers run away and he gets caught and dragged away. And I feel real bad for him because it looks scary.
It's just the way how he does like his little scrims.
Yeah, I mean, he's always yelling for help. And I love that. It's good that he knows when to ask for help. It's important to know that.
He lets everyone know very loudly when he needs help.
Yes. And then we get to see what Donnie's gifts do. Mikey inflates like a balloon. Leo gets zapped, and there's a computer voice in Raph's helmet that nags him constantly. I'm amazed. Like, actually, the thing is that Raph's helmet doesn't have Donnie's voice. Most of Donnie's tech has Donnie's voice from this point on, but specifically in this episode, maybe because they hadn't decided on it, there's like a female voice in Raph's helmet. Like all of his tech sound like he voices his tech himself, except in this case where he has some female voicing it. Maybe he went to voices.com and hired a voice actor. I need you to nag my brother. Please be as passive aggressive as possible.
Yeah.
And they come to the conclusion that Mikey says that, oh, does Donnie think that I'm like all over the place and that I'll need to wear a padded suit so I don't hurt myself? Raph is like, oh, my helmet nags me. And Leo's like, oh, this thing doesn't like my one-liners. which tells me that Donnie located the problems. Raph rushes in without thinking, head first, hence the helmet, needs to fix that. Mikey, he's just scared of Mikey getting hurt. And from seeing Mikey bump into the balcony earlier, I can kind of get where he's coming from. Mikey really just kind of throws himself all over the place and
Yeah.
needs to be more careful. So, from Donnie's perspective, Mikey needs to be more careful or he'll get hurt. Raph needs to think about it and not run head first and get all of them into trouble. And Leo, literally, Donnie's only problem with Leo's entire business is the fact that Leo says one-liners and doesn't take it seriously to the end.
I still love that the other inventions, Raph's and Mikey's inventions, are there to help them, and Leo's is basically just punishing him for being not funny.
It's like, stop it, stop with the one-liners. But honestly, that's a compliment. If Donnie's only problem with Leo's entire thing is that he tells shitty jokes and he should just kind of be squirt gunned out of that habit, then, you know, it's a compliment in a roundabout way.
It's a beautiful mental image to just be like, think about Leo at the lair talking and making a bad joke, and then suddenly Donnie takes out a little squirt gun.
Just squirts him in the face. And he's like, no, bad brother, bad. They do, like, they are pissed off at Donnie and Raph. Yeah, he gets called by Donnie, and this is Raph's phone and his photo of Donnie in his contacts. It's just Donnie with his other brothers looking absolutely miserable while his brothers scream happily in the background. That's a mood, honestly.
I just love that Raph, being the big guy that he is, just accepts the call and is like, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy, how's it going? Thank you for the gifts you got us. They're so thoughtful. It's like, and it's not just Donnie he talks to like this. We know that he definitely talks to Mikey this way, and we only need to hear him talk to April, Leo, and Splinter to know that he just speaks this way on the phone to his family. Like, I like to imagine that he always is like, hey, buddy, whenever someone calls him or he calls someone. It's very soft.
I love that
And
Raph
that
is
his
this
brothers...
big guy, and he's so soft.
Yeah, he is. He's so kind and gentle when he needs to be.
Yeah.
And also he's like, oh yeah, but Donnie has such a soft shell. Yeah, so we know that they live with the fact that Donnie takes things super personally and it's easy to hurt his feelings, and they just know this. And Mikey and Leo are just like, yeah, let's have Raph hurt his feelings. But then Donnie screams, where are you guys? They're gonna eat me. Like, he's on speaker. And then they're all just like, oh, wait, yeah, shit, Donnie's in trouble. Also, this screenshot really encapsulates how, I know that this is just filler and is on the screen for a second, but it's on the DOS operating system.
Wait,
you can
what?
see it in the bottom left. Donnie,
Oh, yeah.
why is your tech on the DOS operating system?
Wow.
That's skills.
Yeah.
Also, I love that you think the numbers in the top right.
I am.
SDF, GDS, CF. To make it very simple, he definitely did put a happy smiley face pointing to himself and an angry face pointing to Meat Sweats.
I mean, how is Raph supposed to understand all of these numbers and stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are mostly, yeah, like some of that looks like triangulating positions and stuff, so.
Yeah, the top bar with the numbers, the 15, 16, 17, reminds me a lot of Bethesda games.
Yeah, it just has Fallout wipes.
Yeah, it really does.
Where's your next quest, Raph? It's straight ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then Donnie has been tied to a stake with some hot dogs. That's rough.
Does he just have some hot coal underneath him?
I think he's slow cooking him. Yeah, I think he's slow cooking Donnie. I wonder, is there a wire between those hot dogs? Because as far as I know, breaking the whole thing between hot dogs is not that tough.
Just flex, Donnie. Flex your muscles.
I mean, you can't ask Donnie to flex. He's a very soft boy. He's the brains of this operation.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, then Raph just steals Donnie and runs away. And I love that this episode has a lot of these shots, like with the dark shadows and outlines and stuff. It's very cool. Also, here we can see Meat Sweat's bones. For anyone who was curious about what his bones look like, this is what they look like.
There you go.
I nod. He doesn't have bones in one finger, but that's fine.
I mean, he can turn his hands and arms into weird tentacles.
Oh yeah, that is true. Those are probably the tentacle fingers. Then we have Mikey, and they all start using Donnie's gifts to their own advantage instead of the way that they're supposed to be used. Like they sap meat sweats, and Mikey starts bouncing around crazy. I feel a little bit sorry for Mikey. You should never really fight your heroes because.
But he's so excited about it.
Yeah, he is. I think that, well, he did see a mutant. No, he did see someone get mutated on TV, and he didn't really tell anyone about it, which Donnie calls him out about. So I don't know, man. I don't think the people of New York would be that shocked about seeing mutants, considering they've seen meat sweats on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Mikey is cute and inflates and bounces around.
This is still one of my favorite animations with Mikey. I love the way how he just jumps and then it slows down, and then he drops down, and it's just very cute.
It is.
Oh yeah, the great solid black shading.
Yes. These scenes are some of my favorite in this episode because, like, Meat Sweats is a silly looking character, but he can also look absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, this is a creepy Meat Sweats. Like, he is scary.
And then the train comes in and he's just gone, and you're just like, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, like you see this and he's seriously pissed. Then the train passes by and he's gone.
Yeah. Just jumps up and then he drops down with the hammer. And I love that his weapon is this meat pounding hammer.
Yes, and it has a bone sticking out of it to make it extra creepy. If you go back one picture, then we have when he's dropping down, Mikey and Leo run into separate directions and leave poor Donnie there just to get pounded by the giant meat hammer. Like, he's tied up. He had to jump over to them to talk to them.
But then again, just flex, Donnie. Just raise your arms up.
You are tied by sausage links. But then again, when we saw the silverfish run away earlier in this episode, like when they started fighting, we see silverfish run away in the background. He's also tied up, or they're also tied up by the sausage links. And if they can't get out of there, I'm not sure how Donnie. I'm just saying. I think that these sausage links are connected by wire.
Probably, maybe. I mean, there are also these sausages that have the little metal clips.
Yeah, maybe. Either way, Donnie, just take a bite out of one of them. Problem solved. And then we get an entire fighting scene in this heavily shaded black style, and it looks so cool.
Yeah, this once again, this earlier episode, the animation is not comparable to later episodes, but there are still the fight scenes that are absolutely gorgeous. And
I like that Raph's eyes are red.
Yeah.
His eyes are all creepy, glowy red.
Yeah, just like Meat Sweats. I like how stylized it gets sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the silhouettes are really strong. And they're like extra strong here because they are silhouettes.
Kapow! And then there's the sound words.
Yeah, the kapow where Raph uses the helmet on his knuckles to punch. And Meat Sweat's leg is extremely broken. Yeah, bad plan! Poor helmet lady. That AI died that day. Donnie never managed to recreate her personality again. Death to that AI.
Rest in pepperoni.
Yes, very, very rip, very pepperoni.
And at the end, Donnie just gives up.
Yeah, he looks a little bit guilty when Raph, like, thanks him for it. Thanks, Donnie. Your gifts brought out the best in us. And then they all say things that he was trying to basically kill in them. Like, I'm funnier, I'm bouncier, I'm smashier. These were all things that Donnie was trying to fix. But then they're just like, oh yeah, you made us better by making us worse. And Donnie's like, all right, yeah, you guys are great the way you are. Group hug, everyone. And then they group hug.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's the first group hug they've had with no April in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the first, like, proper group hug. And I love it. It's so soft.
Yeah. And
because we didn't get to see them. They kind of hugged at the end of the last episode, but they were kind of, like, running around in a bunch of paper at that point.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really a hug. We didn't get to see it. But here they just hug.
Yeah.
And Donnie's just like, you guys are great the way you are, even though you can be improved slightly later down the line.
Yes.
Like, he never said that he wouldn't try again later. He never said that. He just said they were great the way you are. They weren't perfect the way they are, though. That can come later.
I love how many hugs there are in this show.
Hugs are crucial to this show. Very crucial. They're very good.
I love that this just really normalizes the hugs and the I love yous and
Yes.
the family love. It's so good because a lot of media always just put so much emphasis on romantic love, and
Yes.
there's so little media that just tries to normalize love and hugs and affection between family members.
Yeah, just platonic love between
Yeah.
friends, between family, just hugs all over. It's very good. And it's also very good to see them all hugging because they do love each other a
Yeah.
lot. They are so sweet. And it's it's very nice to see, especially a show that is geared towards boys, just normalize hugs and affections and saying I love you. Like it's, death to toxic masculinity. And it's
Yeah.
good because I'm all for death to toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
It is good. And like cartoons in general are slowly getting more and more like this, but this show is very good and progressive with that. Just,
Yeah.
love between brothers. It doesn't have to be asshole and violence all the time. You can also just give hugs and hang out.
I like that the chat is very much in agreement with this
Yeah, the
entire
chat is all
sentiment.
for it.
Yeah. That platonic love just needs to appear more in shows. Like, please. I mean, I don't mind some romance and stuff, but we have so much of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can find romance basically anywhere. Getting good platonic relationships is very important and it's also healthy.
Yeah.
And it's also especially good for, like shows geared towards children and especially young boys because this is very important for them to learn.
Yeah.
It's healthy. It's mental health, really.
Yeah,
These boys these boys might not be completely mentally healthy, but they sure try their best.
I mean, they are mutated turtles.
Turtle teenagers that grew up in the sewers with literally no one but each other and April, so yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they have their issues and stuff, but they're trying their best, and they care about each other, and they love each other, and it's so nice. And yeah, then
Yeah.
Mikey's suit ruins the scene by just
Yeah,
being
it's like impact imminent.
yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that we see right after this is them all being yeeted away from Mikey.
I mean, we don't see this anymore in the episode. This is the joke that this episode ends on.
Yeah.
Ends
Like Alex Strauss says that they love how in the show they get good family relationships where their well-being is put before training. And Splinter is dad first and Sensei second, which is great. And I agree with that. Like
Yeah.
honestly, Splinter being dad first, teacher second is just very good because you can't really raise four boys alone without being dad first and foremost. It's very good because if you're not their dad all over the like all the time, then it's just going to be very like it's going to affect their mental health.
Yeah.
They need parental like love and upbringing. You can't just raise these turtle boys in military school with no actual parents or like parents sometimes when you've done a good job. Like it's like it was always a balance, but really putting the actual like parent part first also makes them it's just so extra comfy when Splinter and like them they're hugging and all that because it just feels like they do get actual parental love on a regular basis. Even though Donnie does specifically say that he's never gotten any recognition from a parent-aged adult ever, and that does make me a little bit concerned.
But I mean, who knows how much Splinter really understands of the things that Donnie does.
Yeah, he probably doesn't. I'm not even sure that he's seen half of the stuff that Donnie has made.
Yeah.
Like he's seen the car and he liked the car,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the stuff that Donnie makes is combat oriented, and he barely knew that they were like he says, don't rely on your tack so much. So for him, he probably thought that Donnie was using it as a crutch and that he should go skill first, tack later. which is kind of not what Donnie does. Donnie rocks machines, as the opening theme tells us.
Yep, very clearly.
Also, he's just a boomer, okay? He's a boomer. That's just the facts.
We established that in episode 2 of our podcast.
Yeah, we made sure to establish the fact that Splinter's a boomer and Donnie is like a zoomer, so they're not on the same page when it comes to technology. Splinter's still watching movies on VHS tapes and projector screens.
Yep.
I don't think that he appreciates all the shit that Donnie makes on a regular basis. Poor Donnie, my child.
But yeah, these were the 2 episodes that we're gonna talk about today. I think they're in the earlier episodes, they definitely are not as wild as the later episodes. And in season 2, they start to really take off.
Yeah, I mean, just in the latter half of season 1, basically after Buckbusters, shit gets real fast. And then it starts picking up momentum, and you can see that like people that work on the show are really, really getting a good grasp, like bringing out their full potential. Like they've learned these characters, they've had practice, and I love that. Yeah, because that just gives me hope for season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 that please God, give me, that they're just gonna keep getting better and better until every single episode, like every single frame is a cinematic masterpiece that makes me cry with laughter. I can't wait for that timeline to become mine. Please.
Yes, please. I don't think there's anything else to add to the episodes.
Yeah, no, like there's not that much to talk about other than the fact that they're all super cute and I love their personality. And Donnie's Gifts was my favorite episode for a really long time because it was so Donnie-centric, but it was also centric on him as, you know, like an asshole, but not really. You know, like he's trying his best because they're all flawed. Yeah. And they all do clash in some way, and it is great.
Yeah. It's just a really, really good show. And if you're listening to this podcast and haven't watched the show at this point, what are you doing?
Yeah, hey, you, that one person that's listening to this and hasn't watched the show, A, you're missing out. B, what are you doing here? Why are you listening to podcasts about people being excited about shit you don't know anything about? Yeah. And 3, I hope that you consider watching this at least a little bit after hearing us be excited about it. I mean, we're grown as adults and we cry because we're on hiatus right now. Yes. And if you listen to this the day that we upload this, we're still on hiatus. You can catch up and then hang out with us when we're off hiatus. That's cool. Mm-hmm. You should watch the show.
Definitely watch the show.
It's very good. It looks cool. Also, if you tried watching the show and you weren't impressed by the first 2 or 3 episodes, A, you're wrong, but not, I mean, like you're allowed to have an opinion, but I disagree with it. But also, it does get better. Like, as we just saw now from watching this episode, when we have, I haven't watched it for a while because I've been binging the newer episode. So seeing these first few episodes, the pacing is slower. And the comedy, there's less of it because now they're just cramming comedy into every single second and corner. If you tried it and you didn't like it, keep going. It does get better, but it is really good as it is now. But they are improving with every episode they make.
I just think the entire not watching this show because it's not like the others, or there's just some aspect that you dislike that is different from a previous iteration. Take it as its own thing. Take it as a product of its time, which all of the different iterations of TMNT are products of their time.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that watched the 87 version were really pissed when the 2003 version came out. It was like, why is Raph such an asshole? And just like people who watched the 2003 looked at 2012 were just like, what is this? Why is April a teenager in this one? I don't like that.
So why is it 3D?
Yeah, you can't be cranky about all the new things you might miss out on, like the cool shit.
Yeah, just give it a chance. But yeah, to get slowly towards the end of the podcast, we have some fan art to show this week. And we're gonna start out with this fan art by Cesarin, Cesarin, or Cesarin. It's a Donnie cowboy dude.
A cowboy Donnie.
Yes.
Good job. I like his enormous hat.
Yep, it's great.
It's very wide brim, good hat. So many guns. He has like 3.
I mean,
Why does he need 3 guns?
why not?
I mean, that's fair. 1 is a spare. 2 are a spare. I hope that he doesn't like try to dual wield shotguns. That's gonna be painful. And also not very, very accurate.
I mean, double the shotguns, double the accuracy.
Yeah, all right. I won't say anything about that. It's really cool though. I do like it. I like his duster coat.
This one is the first I'm gonna show by Tindy Flow, and
Oh,
it's
it's Sydney. She
it's
actually
Sydney.
signed the skateboard. It's
Yeah.
Sydney. They were obsessed with Sydney in that one episode because she was like the coolest. And he got a signed skateboard. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cute. I would love for them to actually meet her in an episode proper because they all have massive crushes on her, and that's cute to me.
Yeah.
She's like a cool skateboard chick, and they're just cheering her on. And I was like, yay, that's so cool. Also, they made her a girl where they could have made her a boy, but they
Yeah.
made her a girl because the people that make this show are great.
Yeah, because they make literally every character that shows up a badass lady.
Yeah,
Girl.
like if they can make it a badass lady, they will. And I
Yeah.
love that.
But this is, I saw the first image of a series of 4 with all the turtles. I'm gonna show 2 this week, and there is also another one, yeah, here with Raph and the wrestling commentator lady.
Ah, yeah. Oh, she's so cool.
I think
Oh,
Jessica
no.
something is her name,
Yeah.
or yeah.
She was cool, honestly. Like
I
only
loved the way she was
truly-
animated.
Yeah, she was her animation was amazing, and she was so funny, and like she was low key evil. I love that. Only the bravest women in the world wear white pants, and she did, so she's very brave.
This
Oh,
one's
no.
by TMNT.
Oh no, that's so cute. Oh no, Sheldon. Sheldon should get hugs.
Yeah.
Technically, when Sheldon is backpack mode, he's getting a hug, sorta.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like he's hugging Donnie, and like I like to imagine that Donnie is basically hugging back just with his back.
Aww.
That's my headcanon.
That's
That makes me
adorable.
feel better about Sheldon.
Aw. Yeah, I love it. It's
It's just koala clinging to Donnie.
This is also a really cute picture.
Yeah, there's a little tail.
Hmm.
They nailed the art style of the show. Like the face looks exactly like on the show. He looks so happy with his little bump. He's so
Yeah.
cute. And hanging out with Sheldon.
I personally think that getting the eye shape really
Yeah.
right in this show is kind of hard to get
Yeah,
really
like-
the cat eye shape of that the teal boys have right is kind of difficult, but TLTNT really nailed it here.
Yeah, Donnie has like beautiful cat eyes, like
Yeah.
upturned like cat eyes. And he has a little tail on this picture, which I'm a
it's
fan
cute.
of.
And the next picture is by Super Sentai Hedgehog, and it has
Oh,
some
no, it's a
Christmas.
Christmas!
Christmas spirit. I love that Leo and Mikey have little elf ears.
Yes, that are just stuck onto the side. That's cute. And Donnie gets the glued reindeer horns on his goggles.
Yeah.
He gets to be a reindeer. Raph is Santa with his big bag of,
Of course,
presents.
he's
Good.
red.
Yes, that is true. Very true.
I love it. I love how grumpy Donnie is. It's a really nice Christmas picture.
It is Christmas.
Christmas. Next picture is by our Rise of the TMNT Rules All, or Rod TMNT Rules All.
Oh, it's the cute cat lady that Splinter winked at.
Yeah, and who died? Question mark.
Yeah, I hope she didn't actually die when she got that heart attack in that one
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, seriously, but
But
she's so cute.
She is so cute, and I love her little scarf thingy. She's so cute. I also love that everyone in the chat can basically just like, oh yeah, it's that one cat lady. Like everyone remembers the cat lady because she was just so cute.
Yeah.
Her design was
Who
adorable.
is she?
Oh no, look at this thick man.
This one's by Mady Shell, Mady_Shell,
Beautiful.
and I love the Jojo pose.
Yes, good Jojo pose. Also, he thick.
I love that the
Good.
chat is just like, oh god, it's him, Himbo Dad.
Oh yeah, it is Himbo Dad. The Himbo, he's back.
Himbo
Himbo
also was a
Dad.
word that just suddenly appeared in my life and I accepted it in my vocabulary.
I mean, Himbo should always have existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Johnny Bravo was the original Himbo,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that super low cut top, that thick Himbo Dad, though.
Yeah.
It's very good. He's so
Beautiful
shiny.
artwork.
I also love the dramatic lines.
Yeah.
Like pointing to the true goods. The one shine speck on his titty.
Also, all of his sons
good.
got his smile.
Yes, they did. Like,
Mhm.
even canonically, all of his sons, they got his smile. Even Mikey with his little gap in the teeth. Still good.
Yeah, it's
Still good
adorable.
smile.
This one is so beautiful. It's by Lilypan, who just joined the chat. I saw.
Oh no!
It's so pretty. I saw this picture on Twitter, I think, before, and it's so pretty. I love it. I love the colors.
It's jumping with a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's so good. Oh no, I love the buildings and the way that they fade in.
Yeah.
The background on this is super well done. The perspective is really good. The perspective is honestly perfect. You must have used like the lines for this because this is a little bit too good. Like you must have used some of that perspective line magic that I can't do. Very nice.
Yeah. And this last one is, and I pronounce this in a very German way, this name, because it's, for me, I read it out as Fistig, because there's a CH at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could also be Fistig. But yeah, I'm a German. I pronounce CH as
Nakama, they're doing the One Piece pose. I cry. I put my hand up in the sky as well. I match. They're doing the One Piece pose. They're Nakama. Yeah. It's so good. I cry.
I just like the emotional, like the fist up in the thing, even though I do not know the One Piece reference here. I just think it looks really cool, dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, it is like as a stand. It has extra emos for me because it reminds me of One Piece and a very emotional part of One Piece. But this is very good, and I also like the solidarity. They all have like different like body shapes and everything, and they put their arms up in solidarity, and they all match, and it's so cool.
It's really cool. It's a gorgeous fan art.
Very
Thank you all for sending the fan arts in. As usual, you can send them in through the Google document or post it on Twitter or Tumblr. Tumblr not so much, but Twitter, and add us turtles_rising, and just tell us that you wanted it to be shown in the podcast and stuff. And yeah, other than that, I think we're basically able to wrap it up here for this week. And yeah, subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you don't want to miss any podcasts. In YouTube, you get the nice and shiny edited version without the ums and uhs and us repeating ourselves a lot of times.
Yeah, and my phone ringing.
Yeah.
Exactly. We edit that shit out.
Yeah, for sure.
We're professionals.
So professional.
So professional.
Extremely. And yeah, other than that, we stream every Sunday on Picardo. And I am currently also kind of considering and thinking about if we really should do a podcast for every episode, or would you guys consider or like it more if we only did the important episodes and did summaries of the rest, because a lot of these episodes are not really that character or story heavy.
Yeah, I mean, some of them I would like to talk about more than others, such as I would love to talk about Down with the Sickness, and I'd love to talk about Purple Jacket. But that's mostly just because I enjoy these episodes.
Yeah, same. But I also think that some episodes are more important for story than the others. So if you could give us feedback on that, that would be very much appreciated. And other than that, I think we're basically done here.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
Thank you all very much for listening and for
see you guys
watching.
around.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye.